Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Are you snowed in?
Well, yeah, it's been quite a winter.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
able to get out today, but sick
good.
of the weather.
Yeah, I took the kids out later this afternoon, and it was just still brutally cold.
Oh, I know, it was terrible.
Yeah. So well, at least we have one more day to recoup before we send kids back. Are you off this whole
Yeah,
week or just Monday, Tuesday?
just Monday and Tuesday.
Gotcha. Hi, Don.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. We're just chatting about the weather and how wonderful it is here in New England.
Yeah, it looks like you got a snowbank behind you there.
Yeah, no, yeah. I actually do if I turn just right, but yeah, crazy. All right, we're 6 minutes until 7, so sit back, relax. I'm gonna wait while people kind of roll in,
Great.
and
Well, this was an easy connect this time.
good. Yeah, Sarah, was this a little easier?
Oh yeah, all I had to do was click the link and brought me
Good,
right up.
good.
Oh,
I've been trying to do some work with my good friends at Google and trying to figure out what in the world they changed with the invite process. So my bad. We should have rehearsed with a Google Hangout on air as opposed to just a straight Hangout. So it goes. I'm
yep,
modeling that you always need a backup plan when you're working with technology, I guess. So,
there you go.
Absolutely.
It works well.
good. All right. So I have the questions that we talked about last week, and I also have the agenda that I proposed for tonight's meeting. Um, we'll see how long people want to go and what people are interested in. I have nowhere to be until I pick my wife up from Hartford Airport at 11, so we may have to cut it a little short. But but other than that, we should whatever people want tonight.
Oh, where's she been?
She's flying in from Dallas. I hope this storm is not going to interrupt things. 11
No,
o'clock is getting to be past my bedtime.
that should be fine, although you live a wicked life, my friend.
It's fun. Sarah, my wife is a teacher as well, and she was down in Dallas working with a group of world language teachers. So Dawn doesn't like it when I say this, but she's the real talent in the family. So
Eh,
I
not
think
to worry.
my mother might work with her. My mom works at Stonington High School. That's
oh,
where I
okay,
attended.
gotcha.
Kathy Pellegrino.
Sure, sure, of course, and I know her as well
Yeah.
because I was in Stonington for 9 years up until 2008. So
Okay. I
I
graduated in 2006, so we
gotcha.
probably crossed paths at some point.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's very cool. How is she doing? I have not seen her in quite some time.
Oh, she's doing good. She's got her own program now for the emotionally disturbed.
Yep.
She's a special ed teacher,
Sure.
and just kind of being the support system for them, especially around the holidays and with all this. Weather is
Absolutely.
not easy, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
kids
please.
don't like the routine to be messed up.
Yeah. No. No. Consistency is nice this time of year, and with that group of students, absolutely. Well, please pass along a hello from me.
Definitely.
That's great. And Fran in this cohort as well. There's a real Stonington
Yeah.
connection, a Stonington flair to this.
Right.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're just catching up on life and so forth. We'll get started in a couple minutes. We'll see who joins us and who doesn't. So
Okay,
Hey, Caitlin, good to have you here.
thanks. It's nice to be here.
yes, and
Yeah.
I think the technical problems are knock wood behind us. So we'll find out.
Okay.
Did I see more snow for tomorrow? Could that possibly be true?
3 to 6
Yeah.
down here.
Interesting. Caitlin and Sarah, where are you guys located?
I'm in Trumbull.
Okay,
I'm in Griswold.
gotcha. All right, so closer to us. Hi,
Yeah.
Krista.
Hey,
Hi.
there's Krista.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. We're just waiting for people to jump on to go get started in a couple minutes.
Okay.
I hope everyone noticed that the Yukon women were ranked #1 now in both polls.
Yay.
After that
Yeah,
last game, I would hope so.
yeah. But now it's official, so there you go.
Nice, nice. That works. That works. When is their next game, Don?
Tomorrow night.
We might have to hold a class on campus just so we have an excuse to all go up and see a game.
We'll get tickets.
Yeah, are they hard to come by?
On some games, others
Well,
not so much.
do faculty get a break? Because obviously, us, as students, we should be able to get some, right?
Yeah, are you kidding me? No, we get no break at all.
All right, we'll give folks another minute. It's just getting to be 7 on my clock here, but we can get going in a bit.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock versus Houston tomorrow night at the XL Center.
Gotcha. Oh, I had a quick question for some of the students. Did I notice a post of someone on the beach in our Google Plus community, or was that a pretend photo?
It looked
I think
real.
Melissa's on the beach.
That's the real deal? Gotcha.
Stop.
Hey, a future student. All right.
Who won't go to sleep.
That's all right. It happens. Welcome to the world.
Yeah.
We're very family friendly in this class. So. All right, Crystal's looking to get on board here as well, so I'm just trying to help her get into the Hangout, and then we can get started.
Yeah, Mommy's got to do her work. You watch yourself, okay?
Hey. I think that was Crystal.
Crystal, hello.
Hi guys, how are you?
We're good. That link help?
Yeah, I was just looking. I was live last week.
Yep.
I was just wondering. I thought maybe it was a back channel for me.
Yeah, I decided since I didn't think there was going to be too many participants tonight, just because of holidays and snow and the like, and because this was optional, I decided no back channel. We just pile everybody in together and see what we can come up with. So.
Okay.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. I'm happy I think we've got some of these technical difficulties straightened out. There's really only 2 agenda items that I had for tonight's meeting, and then I wanted to open up the floor. What we typically do for this last Monday before a new cycle starts is usually we don't have an agenda at all. It's just people can jump on and ask what they want or have a conversation or hang out for 5 minutes and go. It's really your time. Should there be questions? Should you want to have a conversation? It's kind of office hours. Because of the difficulties we had technically in the weeks past, I wanted to do a more formal one this time, but for the next 3 cycles, this will be still optional, but completely optional, and the agenda is yours. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Number 2 was I wanted to ask if anyone had any issues, comments, questions surrounding, certainly about their individual posts, and if they had the comments that were left on those, grades, etc. Or the group project that you're in the middle of right now. So the floor is yours. Should you want to comment or ask questions or talk about how wonderful your group is interacting or discuss problem solving or what have you. The floor is yours should you want it. Hearing none, is that correct? Anybody want to give a little feedback as to how things are going?
Great.
I'll take a great. You want to elaborate a little bit?
I'm with Caitlin and Jason, and let me look at my list here. Sarah and Krista. I don't know, when you work with Jason, there's always an organizational structure, and it gets broken down into a task very quickly. So it's very organized, and you run through it, so it's really good. And I'm with the content people. I have Caitlin, who is great at recognizing what the higher learners need, because since I'm in the elementary school, I don't necessarily know that. So this is a 7th grader, so it's nice to have a little feedback on that as well.
Great. Other comments or questions? Nope. All right, I'll make a quick one then. We struggle a little bit as far as how group creation happens. You know, we are of multiple minds at times. You know, we believe there's real benefit, and I'm talking, when I say we, I mean Sam, around random groups and having that kind of cross-pollination of expertise, be it primary versus secondary or subject-based, what have you. But we also believe there's real value in creating your own groups because you know each other fairly intimately now, having been in so many classes together. You know, I don't want to say learning styles, but you know how people operate. So I guess I'm looking for some feedback because we do have some flexibility in the remaining 3 cycles as far as group creation. We could continue along this way and keep assigning you randomly and reap the benefits of that. But we could certainly also allow you to pick your own. So I'd love some feedback if you have any for me around that particular topic. Or steady as she goes. You guys are allowed to talk. I'm not the only one. I could also pick you out of this list too and just put you on the spot, kind of like that, or like that, or like that. So, Caitlin, what do you think?
It doesn't matter to me. I think when you put us in a group, it forces us to work with different people, so I'm okay either way.
Got it. Fair enough. Other comments? I'll take that as a double thumbs up as a yes, Sarah.
Yeah, I
Great.
agree. That makes sense.
Great. Tina, how are you? Thank you for joining us. We're in the first cycle. We're in the first agenda item for tonight. This is really just Q&A around Cycle A. Certainly could be individual posts, but also group projects as well. Angie, how are you?
Doing good. I'm here. It works.
Getting tech support. I love it. How are you?
Good.
Good. I don't know if you heard that, but we're doing Cycle A kind of Q&A now if people have any. And for the most part, folks were feeling pretty good, I think, about groups as well as the topic for this particular group project in this cycle and so forth. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Moving on to the second main item for tonight, I really wanted, as I said before, I really wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions or comment or discuss some of the readings we did or some of the topics that we were going through with the live audience before. Again, I'm sorry that you didn't get the benefit of, well, most of you did not get the benefit of hanging out with the participants who kind of prepped for the Cycle A. But now that you've been through it and you've had some time to work with it individually and now even more so as a group, I wanted to give you an opportunity to comment or have a little discussion. I do have the 4 questions that we had proposed for that, and we struggled to get through all of them because we were cutting time a little short, but also we had some wonderful comments from your classmates. So how do people feel? Do we want to kick out a question or two from me, or do you have comments from the readings and from the questions before? Again, seeing no hands flying up and being raised. Hold on a second. Hi, Tina. Tina, we are not able to hear you. We see your lips moving, and I can just barely hear you in the background. The video looks great.
I had to make dinner.
All right, so we'll let you play with that a little more. All right, I think I'm going to jump in with a question here. The one that I think got the most feedback and the one that people were most interested in, I shouldn't say most interested in, but really got people going in the group before, was the second question that Don had posed. And it's this idea around why some schools are slow to integrate technology, specifically into primary grades, but overall into the curriculum and what some of the particular obstacles are. This is one of those questions that people usually feel strongly about in certain ways and is very specific to the school situation that they're in. Crystal did an excellent job of helping us answer this one before, but that's the one we usually get a lot of people talking in. So I don't know if anybody wanted to jump in and take a shot at that one to kick us off here this evening. Go for it, Sarah.
I think in my experience at my school in Putnam, it's about education of the teachers.
Okay.
We don't get a lot of professional time to be exposed to these technologies and learn about how they can be implemented to then be the ones who are, talking to our administrators saying, hey, I want to buy this, I want to incorporate this into my classroom. So kind of without that ongoing education, I think it's a struggle for at least my district to keep incorporating into the curriculum and into the classrooms.
Gotcha. Other comments?
Do you have good leadership there, Sarah, with a principal who has technology on his or her agenda?
Unfortunately, our principal right now is out on medical leave, and this is his last year. He's retiring at the end of this year. So as much as he will acquiesce if we make a good enough proposal for technology, like I said, I'm never in one of those groups of people where I feel like I know enough about the technology to kind of push for that. But our soon-to-be principal, who is our vice principal now, I think will be better at kind of going out and finding out some ideas and collaborating with us about how to go forward.
Yeah, certainly the professional development issue is central, really important. I'm going to lose my power here unless I plug in. And the other, another area is school leadership. That is, if you don't have a vision in the school for technology integration, it really is hard to happen, except through individual initiative and stuff. But there are a whole bunch of other areas where that hold things back as well. I was wondering if anyone else had any thoughts about other impediments to change.
Go for it. I heard a gasp to start talking. Who was it? Krista?
I think I was just thinking about how in my school, most of the technology doesn't come to my department, to the special ed department. A lot of the technology goes to different areas. So the English department will get it, or the math department. So we are very limited in what we are able to work with. So now that I'm taking these classes, I've been pulling from different departments, trying to get my students in the resource room different technology that we're not allowed, not that we're not allowed to have, but that we're not privy to down where we are. So
why do you think it's the English and the math? Is it because of Common Core? Or is it because of the folks in the leadership positions in those departments are more vocal or more adamant or more comfortable integrating? What do you think the reasoning is?
I think it's a combination of all of that, to be honest with you. I don't think in our department, like my room, I have 5 computers, and that's all we've had since I've worked there. There's never been anything that has come in really that we've been able to work with. So I think they're a little more vocal in those departments, the history department, the math department. I think they are a little more vocal, and they're willing to try the technology a little bit more so.
Gotcha. Who else wants to jump in? Tina, are you looking to get in here? Yeah, Mike's still a problem. Sorry. I know you have all this to add. So if you want, you can always type it into the chat on the right-hand side, Tina. Yeah. And
Tina,
and I'm
if you have
happy to vocalize for you.
If you have headphones, Tina, or earplugs, I'd put those in and give that a shot. Sometimes I help.
One of the things that I'm selfishly...
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's better.
Oh no, this is Angie.
Oh,
can
sorry,
you hear me?
Angie. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, my principal in our school, he's very technology oriented. So we have had a couple of RAS kids online, professional development, and he's tried to include that in our professional development, but it's so hard because there are other things that that are taking time, like SLOs. He's so worried. He's very well. Everybody is, I guess, worried about achieving their progress in the reading scores and the math scores, and but he's trying to incorporate that, but it's just the time and other things that are important, other things that are important right now, like
Sure.
testing, especially testing. Testing is like a big thing. So, but he
All
is,
right.
very supportive of it, very supportive of technology and in the classrooms, and he's already presented, I think, at the district how teachers are trying to incorporate technology into their rooms. He's all for it, but it's so hard, just the time.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, Angie. Yeah, so we have some time issues, education, professional development. We've heard technical challenges as far as access to tech. I'm assuming that's hardware, software, and services. And maybe we've also heard maybe an equity issue. It's not evenly distributed around the school. We've also heard that there's some wonderful leadership and there's some not so wonderful leadership. I guess the where I like this conversation to go, we always have to start with kind of, okay, what are the issues? Let's understand what the issues are. But what are the solutions? I'm always curious to hear and to kind of have that conversation, because I think there's some real cross-pollination that can happen here. As far as, have you seen successful models, or if you were king for a day or queen for a day, how would you change things so that we can solve some of these particular issues within reason and with what we can actually impact? Anybody want to take that on? I see Jason smiling, but he's muted, so I'm not going to go there quite yet.
No, I'm just laughing because of the overwhelming response to that.
Yes,
Yeah.
or lack thereof. Yeah.
I think it's a
Gene,
lot.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's a lot like pencils. Pencils are a technology, and if we only had a pencil available when we had it available, I had to go to the office and sign them out, or I had to figure out a way to get them into my classroom, I wouldn't use them as effectively. I think that computers are the same way. I think that when computers are in the classrooms and teachers can have critical conversations about the ways to use them, as well as good leadership. But I think that there's even one step before that, and Jason can probably speak to this, is that you have to have a really good infrastructure. So you can get all of the tools, but if you don't have an infrastructure, then the tools don't work either. And I think there has to be a balance of ET and IT, but the technology has to be available and teachers have to be able to have critical conversations about it.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, I hear you.
You sound great.
I think the biggest challenge is I come from a district that has a lot of technology available, but because we have a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean it's used effectively because there's way too much other things going on. For example, just something silly like we just started a writing portfolio initiative. We have a PBA initiative happening right now. There's something that all of the 11th graders are going to be working on soon, and it's just everything gets thrown in, and it's a flavor of the month, and technology gets put by the wayside because it seems like it's just there. And for teachers that have 120 plus students and all these grading to do and all this other stuff, it's hard to sit there and learn it to do it effectively. And that's where I see the biggest challenge.
Gotcha. So how do we fix that?
I would love to just get that opportunity just to work on that and take all of my grading away. Somebody else do my grading for me.
Gotcha. We could just go to pass-fail.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Grading is an interesting solution. Other comments on Tina or overall?
You know, there are also, let me just add a couple here too. There's some subtle, very subtle ways that impediments appear, not the least of which are in the Common Core State Standards, which you commented on this last week, that in reading they don't even include internet or digital terms in it. Quite interesting. They have it in writing, they have it in social studies, we have it in science, but on the reading side, which is really a central aspect of the curriculum, it isn't even mentioned. We also have limitations in our assessments. I mean, it's sad to say, but today, if it's not tested, it's not taught, and it's not tested very much at all, if at all. So there are these subtle ways, in addition to the fact that we don't have enough technology, or we don't have school leadership, or we don't have adequate professional development. Those are pretty visible, but there are also some subtle ways. So it's really, if you look at it, it's a multi-layered issue, isn't it? It's there are a whole bunch of reasons for why change is not happening faster.
Looks like Jason's got a friend.
Yeah, this is the one that wants to hang out with me. The other ones just want to run around and yell.
Nice. Welcome.
Say hi.
If you have any comments on how we can make your school better, please let us know.
Actually, I'll mute it and ask her and see what she says.
Perfect. All right, so we could spend a lot of time on problems as well as the solutions, and part of what I'm hoping that you all get out of this program is that you are more empowered with the ability to help design some of those solutions, and certainly, if not design, put in place some of these solutions as a educational leader who's proficient in technology in these schools. So we know who you are, and we're going to follow you, and we may be asking some of these tough questions in the next 5 to 10 years to see how things worked out. So fair warning. I just want to put that out there. So, all right. Other comments or questions from some of the questions last week? Jason, you can feel free to jump in here, and Crystal, since you guys were a big part of the conversation. Once we talked about this, we did move into some of the areas of instructional practice, specifically coming from some of the readings you had, but also some of kind of new literacies overall.
You need to be under there. You need to stop.
And kind of the new literacies and the definitions overall, this idea of capital N new literacies, as well as these specific little lowercase new literacies, such as online reading and comprehension. I don't know if people have comments or questions. We certainly can get into some of the instructional practices, but I wanted to give some time to going through some of those readings if people had questions as well. And yes, to answer the questions, sound has been fine for me so far.
Okay.
So, there's one thing that jumped. Hold on. Let me swap with you, Hazel. Here, you take this one. Because I need the mic. The one thing that I've been thinking about a little bit with the whole idea of sort of BYOD and the discussions that occur around that are technology gaps just as a result of people buying, kind of cheap or poor equipment. So a perfect example is, my son has a really inexpensive Android tablet, and when I went to actually hook it up with a pair of earphones, I realized it doesn't even have Bluetooth. And I didn't spend any time. It was $30. I just bought it. And you realize his camera is atrocious. He actually can't participate with a variety of classmates because the hardware itself is just so mediocre. And you realize, you've got to spend some money on this. So I don't know that. I think BYOD certainly makes sense, and I'm certainly a supporter of it. But at the same time, if the school doesn't support it with hardware in the classroom, I really worry about sort of inequities of people who can afford better equipment.
It's so funny that you brought that.
Crystal, before you jump in, can I just see a show of hands, or if anybody wants to jump in? Does anybody have a current BYOD program in the school district they're working in right now, or at the university? All right, Krista is a yes. Obviously, Jason probably has a couple student devices on campus. Tina, that was a yes. And Crystal, you're a yes? All right, Crystal, jump in for us, please.
I just was, Jason, our IT director is on his way out the door, and so our new network admin was put in charge of putting together a new BYOD policy. So I sat with him for 4 hours trying to hammer out that BYOD policy, and it was just fascinating, all the little details that you had to come up with. And our superintendent, what's on our BYOD, the least amount of restrictions on it, or what you have to have in order to be successful in our district. They want to take a stand on that. And we are fully virtualized, and we have the ability to support students with their devices. So if they come in, we have the ability to support them. But it just seems like a very daunting task. And even if they do come in, if there's a firewall in place, we run into problems. If parents have parental controls on there, we have a problem. And teachers don't know how to work with every device. So we were just actually having that conversation about how challenging that is.
So now
Guess you're making it seem harder and harder, Crystal.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about giving up.
Well, I don't think we have to give up. I just think we have to figure out what will work.
So, go ahead, Jason.
Those debates are really interesting because, like you said, Clint, right? We've got 50,000 students or faculty, staff, whatever, running around with their own thing, and somebody brings an iPhone that's issued to them as a faculty member. We're happy to support it. But the minute somebody comes with their iPhone that is personal, we treat it like it's taboo, right? Like we can't touch it. You think it's the same. It's the same OS. You can't get more cookie cutter than that. Now your Android stuff, sure, that's a little trickier, but why differentiate from a support standpoint? But we still do, right? We're still fighting about that.
We do too. Okay, and imagine then throwing in, you're at least working with adults, but now we're talking about 8, 9, 10, and 11-year-olds bringing in their BYOD devices, because we're talking 3rd through 12th grade, right. And I work 3-5, and we're doing it, but I get told the same thing, don't touch their device. Okay, yeah, right. That's going to work.
Yeah, it just doesn't, it really doesn't make sense. It's still an antiquated philosophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. I don't disagree, but how do you budget? How do you hire staff? How do you actually prepare? I guess you could look at metrics. I don't know if, Jason, if you guys keep statistics or others as far as, school-owned versus personal, even if you're not helping them, how many calls you get from them and so forth. I think one of these the key components to BYOD, at least from my perspective, what I've seen too, is this idea of teacher preparedness and how much class time is spent taking away from instructional time because we're trying to troubleshoot or we're trying to get unique different devices on board. Now I've seen it work, and I guess where I've seen it work most effectively is when there are teachers who are willing and are effective at putting their students to work to make that happen. Because these wonderful students in our classrooms, some of them, not all of them, they're not all digital natives per se, but using that resource in the classroom, I've seen BYOD work very effectively doing that. I guess I'm curious, others of you who said you had BYOD programs, what made it work or not work?
We have student helpers at the middle school. They're point people, and they help each other. I get called in 5 through 8 to support, but oftentimes when it gets to me, it's a firewall issue, a parental controls issue. And
Gotcha.
So from that standpoint, it's just a quick email to the parents to tell them what to do. But we're a small district. We're, what do we have, Tina, less than 2,000 students? So we're small.
Well, there's about 800 at the high school, and the BYOD issue at our school is mostly involving around their own distractions. When they bring in their own computer, they're on their Facebook, they're on their Twitter, they're on their Instagram, and they can't print. There's no firewalls to block them from internet if they're doing any sort of testing or any sort of sustained type of practice that we would have to do for a project or something. So when they bring in their own devices, we have less control over how much education use they're using out of it. But in the same regard, we have so many limitations with some break-fix issues with our high school equipment that sometimes their devices are much better. I can't tell you how many times the printers aren't working, the internet is down, something is a challenge at the school. There's always a mess there, and for them to bring in their own devices, it's easier for them. But then we have less control if they're doing a project or something on what they're actually on. So it's a catch-22.
Right, and I would say the high school out of all the buildings is right now the building that needs the most support. I know they're adding more switches this summer and more technology and phasing out some of the resources that they have there.
I mean, for example, we have something called Land School, and I can't even tell you the last time it's actually worked effectively for us to do something in a computer lab that's appropriate. Mm-hmm. So often teachers just resort to doing old school, like inside the classroom. I like to use the Chromebooks a lot, but I'm willing to do it. But there's many teachers that just say it's not worth it. There's one time I did an in-class essay, for an example, just a straight-up in-class essay using Google Docs, and I was 25 minutes late to my next period class because the printers weren't working. Something as simple as that is a challenge that makes me think, why even bother? I'll just have them handwrite something as simple as a word processing document.
All right, Tina, I'm gonna ask a quick question. If they're using Chromebooks, is the reason you're asking them to hand in a hard copy because they don't have full-time access to those, and that's the only way that they can share it with you?
Well, when they use the Chromebooks, it's more for in classroom activity. But if I'm doing something in a computer lab, then they're using regular desktops.
I got you. You're switching back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Chromebooks are more like if I do something on something that I have as Moodle or like a little like WebQuest type activity, I'll bring the Chromebooks in. Or I do a lot of mapping tools using Social Explorer and things like that for my sociology class.
Okay.
So when I do a lot of in-class activities that just involve internet, I'll use the Chromebooks. But if I need to do some sort of assessment where I want them to print out documents, then I take them to a computer lab. But most of the time, the printers don't work. So, and that's really low tech if you're thinking about using technology in the classroom.
Yeah, that's just a substitution. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. Other comments? Sorry, Crystal. I think I cut you off.
Nope.
Okay. I'd like to. One thing really piqued my interest. I believe, Crystal, you said it, that the superintendent wants the least amount of control put on these devices. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think what I was trying to say is that she wants the IT department to come up with parameters for the basics for joining our network. Like we want to give like the amount of gigabytes they should have, how much memory, that type of thing.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking a progressive superintendent which wanted as little control as possible.
She's actually pretty good.
Good. Yeah, typically at this point we get into the discussion about filtering and blocking and all of that good stuff, and how typically the IT director is the district censor, and how that may or may not be effective for learning.
I actually feel that the guy that's actually leaving went from being a guy who was told to highly censor us to open it wide open, and right now we're wide open for the most part.
Gotcha. I want to contrast that to others. Do other people feel that their network is as wide open as it could be or should be for learning, or is that an impediment? Who wants to jump in? Caitlin, take a shot at it.
I was just going to say we have a lot of issues with the Wi-Fi in our school, and we're currently hiring a third party to come and check it out. Last week I gave a benchmark, and it took 4 days to take a 70-question test. It was the worst experience of my life, and luckily my kids were great, but had they not been, it could have gone in a different direction.
Have them take their phones out and use the data on their phones, yeah.
It wouldn't even work that way. I don't know what was going on. It was through Pearson, and it was just atrocious. So we're working to expand our Wi-Fi because it's not doing what it should be able to do.
Gotcha. Krista? You want to take a shot at that, Krista, or we'll think about it? You're on mute. Sarah?
Well, I was just, from what Caitlin was saying, I was just thinking about how our school doesn't have Wi-Fi, or like it's very confusing. Like some departments are able to access the Wi-Fi, but like not all teachers are given a Wi-Fi password, and the Wi-Fi doesn't extend everywhere. So it's very difficult to plan for. Like I get to use it just if I'm writing an IEP during a PPT, and I have IEP Direct, so I'm able to use the Wi-Fi in the conference room. But if I was to bring in my own iPad, or even take the iPad the school gave me to like another location, I can't access any sort of Wi-Fi, and the English department and other departments aren't able to, just the social studies department, because they have the Google Chromebooks. So it's very inconsistent at the high school that I'm at.
Gotcha.
Infrastructure.
Angie, you want to jump in?
The whole thing with the Wi-Fi, that's another issue in our school. Even though our principal is all for technology, there's always the Wi-Fi issue that students cannot get on there, like the RAS kids and the Dreambox, they're always coming up to Mrs. Brown, this is not working, I can't get in. It's like so frustrating because, these are programs that I think help the kids. Another thing is that when I bring another computer into my room, into my classroom, it's like a whole, I go up to the person in my school who knows about computers, and I tell them, I need the teacher password or the Board of Ed password, and it's sort of like, it gives me the runaround. I'm like, can I just get it? And I don't know why it's such a secret. And then, but luckily, I cracked the code because I had another computer in my closet that was sitting. Let me try that computer in my closet. So I took it out and somehow was able to figure out how to get the code for all the computers, for the other computers that I have, and it works. So, but it's such a secret. It's like, I mean, I can't. I wish I could bring like a BYOD. I'm thinking, oh, if this BYOD, we can't. I don't know how it's going to be because the password is such a secret.
Well,
And a lot of kids come to me because they say, "Oh, Mrs. Brown, this iPad doesn't work, so I'm bringing one from my home." And then I try to get into it, but the same thing happens. The password, and I can't get in. And the kids are willing to bring in their phones and their iPads because Mrs. Brown, this doesn't work here, so let me bring mine. So they bring it, but I don't know how to get into it because, again, either it's the Wi-Fi or password. Even though our principal is all for technology, but I don't know why this is the case in our school.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's a secret code for IT administrators, right? I mean, it's the control that they have in a lot of cases. You've got antiquated rule sets that people adhere to because they think it's right they don't put any critical thought as to why they're withholding anything. And, there's some truth to that. I mean, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but there is some truth to it.
I was just going to say all my kids know the password for the Wi-Fi, but I don't. And a lot of the teachers feel the same way. They're like, oh, you just have to type this, this, and this. And I'm like, this makes no sense. How do you know this? And I don't know what's going on.
I say you hold their grades out until they.
Got to do something.
Yeah. I guess. Oh well, sorry. Who else wanted to jump in here, Krista?
No, I was just saying. I was just going to say that there's a lot of we're blocked a lot on our on the computers that I do have in my room. There's so many blocks now that kids can't get into anything at all. But it's also for the teachers. Like we have problems accessing everything as well. And that just started when we came back from Christmas break. I think it was even stricter.
Just to clarify, is that specifically software applications or programs that are running on whatever hardware you have, or is that specifically more web filtering and web blocking?
Yeah, that's what we have a lot of, the web blocking.
Gotcha. What is the process? It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you need a website unblocked. What is the process that you have to go through, Krista, to get that unblocked?
We have to call the IT person who's not housed in our school. So
Gotcha.
we have to call them, and we have to.
Yep, that's very similar to a lot of districts. Again, the IT director becomes the head censor for the district. I don't think that's planned. I think that's just kind of how it goes. Interesting. Okay. Other comments? I think it was interesting that we started with BYOD for this part, Jason. Thank you, because from an infrastructure standpoint. And I see it in a lot of schools that I work with. We're already there. The students are already circumventing our collective inability to provide them with the digital tools that they want and need and think they deserve to have. We can't build 100-foot lead walls around schools to block cell towers that are covering these buildings with access in a lot of cases. And I think there are districts still where cell phones are taboo, and we spend a lot of time taking them away and giving them back and so forth. But even that regime is starting to crumble as well. So I think it's only a matter of time until even those who are not providing adequate time, resources, infrastructure, etc., will be faced with this relevancy question. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but we're already there in a lot of places that I've been working in. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it will certainly spur some change. So, all right. Any last comments around BYOD or instructional models or the state of the state in our schools? All right. Last topic for the night then, before I open it up to the floor, is really the kind of the foundational work of what's going on in the New Literacies Research Lab at UConn, and Don's work and the work that I've been lucky enough to be part of is really around kind of this idea of new literacies overall, but also specifically the new literacies of online research and comprehension, which all of you should be fairly intimately involved with as a teacher reviewing the assessment stuff that we're doing for our group project right now. So do we have any comments or questions around kind of the theory or understanding definitions around new literacies that would help for the group, or that we just want to kick around?
This may be strange, but let me jump in first. I just want to say that really, I was the member of our team that read your comments this week, your responses, and I was just terribly impressed with it. And the thing I enjoyed the most about it was the examples that you provided from your school situations. That was really, really informative to me. I learned so much from reading to about all of the different contexts and all of the different points of view that you had. I just found it incredibly useful, so I want to thank you for that. And I thought they were well done too, by the way. So.
And I'm assuming that was reflected in your grades. So.
So, if anybody's curious, Hazel's asked me to make sure she participates in every upcoming lecture because she enjoys this so much. She also wants to know, Clint, if you're sitting on a couch or sitting on your bed, because she's critiquing every person's housing. So,
I am sitting on a couch. Ava, come here.
He's showing you.
I want you to. I am sitting on my couch, and I also have a partner of crime here, too. So, Hazel, this is Ava. Ava, this is Hazel.
Hey, Ava.
Hi.
We were out in the snow earlier, so she's a little cold.
I like the look, Ava. I like the look.
All right. I'm going to be off a little bit. See you. All right. Well, Hazel, thank you for that comment. All right. So new literacies. Do we want to talk about that anymore, or people are good? All right, I think people are thinking it's Saturday night since we have tomorrow off as well. Okay, so what I'd like to do in our remaining time, and again, I'll stay as long as people want, but I know we all have families and things going on. I wanted to open the floor to any topic, question, future planning, or anything that we think might be beneficial to the class as a whole. I can certainly chat with people one-on-one after this as well. But for those of you who came in a little bit after 7, and I'll be quick about this, but this part of each cycle, the Monday night before we start a new cycle, is typically kind of office hours online. I normally will not have an agenda. It will be here, we'll be online, and we can talk about what you want to talk about. This week, because of our technical difficulties, I wanted to have more of a formal session. But we will do this again for cycles B, C, and D. But again, this will be your time, and if you have a pressing issue and you want to talk it out, then let me know, and we'll make it happen. So, in the spirit of that, are there any remaining issues that any of you or Hazel may have that we want to talk about before we say goodnight and get ready to shovel out again tomorrow?
I'm just wondering about the MOOC project.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Well, I'm just wondering what I need to do next. I was looking for the information and wondering if I missed it somewhere.
No, we're going to address the MOOC project overall, more specifically as part of Cycle D, because we wanted to give everyone a chance to audit the MOOC that they selected. The list is wonderful, and I should probably publish. I'll send around permission from everyone, but I'd like to publish the list. You guys have picked some interesting and unique MOOCs to audit. But we use that word audit very specifically because we do not want you to, well, of course, you have every right to participate fully in any of the MOOCs that you select, but for the purposes of this course, we really wanted you to be able to get into the course, understand the goals, understand the instructional practices, and take a look at the new literacies that you think a successful participant in that MOOC would need as they go through the instructional activities of that MOOC. So as of right now, you should be registered. You should have gone in. You should have started to experience it. You should understand what the expectations are and so forth. But ultimately, come Cycle D, which is a month and a half, 2 months away, we're going to ask you to begin kind of comparing and contrasting the different types of lowercase new literacies. Sorry, that you think again a successful student in that course would need to have.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does, because mine will be over in 2 weeks.
That is perfectly fine. We didn't give any stipulations as far as length, when it would go and not, and no one picked one that we thought was out of bounds or
So you're not expecting A pluses from all of us?
Yeah, well, I have spoken with the professor of each of the MOOCs that you signed up for, and yes, I will be reviewing your work accordingly.
I can't handle another class.
Yeah, no. Again, audit was specifically used in this terms to. We want you to understand what's involved. We are not expecting you to complete assignments or do any of that unless you really want to.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you.
Is there anything other than the literacies that we should be looking at while we're in there?
Well, again, it'd be nice to get we're going to be asking for you to kind of introduce the course and what it's about. So what is kind of the instructional model that they use? Is it synchronous? Is it asynchronous? Their live sessions? Are there group projects? Are there collaborative projects? What are the demographics from some of the students? Is it 10 people from the same university, or is it 10,000 people from around the globe? I'd also like to see kind of what those objectives are, what the learning goals are for the course as well. So really just to situate us all in what that course may be.
Like a description of a rich, thick description of what's going on.
Absolutely. I thought it was interesting, too, that 3 people selected the Minecraft for Educators course. So I expect a lot from those 3 people since all 3 are there. So, but no pressure. So.
Who are we?
Say that again?
Who is it? I know it's me. Who else?
If you give me 1 minute to look it up, I will tell you. Let's see. Okay, Crystal, Adam, and Karen.
Okay.
Are the 3 that I have for that. But we have one on Warhol. We have Essentials for Interior Design. We have Positive Psychology. We have Coaching Digital Learning. The Kennedy Half Century.
That looks cool. That one looked cool.
I don't think they're going to be mentioning me, but you let me know. So yeah, so there's a whole wide variety. So I'm really excited to have those conversations come Cycle D to see what people experienced and where that's at. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it Jason or was it someone else who did a MOOC specific activity during the fall semester as part of this cohort?
It was Jason, I think.
I did. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that was my practicum was designing a MOOC and running it at the institution.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Yeah, no, I've done some work in this area with Jaeyoon Ju, who is a professor in stores. Yeah, I'm going to be interested in what you guys come up with. I think there's some wonderful potential, but some of the wonderful ideas around the MOOC movement have been kind of stolen and shoved back into our old containers of education, and I think that's a shame. So I'm hoping that there's people like all of you who help fight and pull that out and let it live up to its full potential. So, okay, good question about MOOCs. Any other questions for the group?
So just to clarify, for this week, it's the group project, and start the readings for Cycle B, and then the individual post will be due the following week for Cycle B?
Yes. Well, let me clarify. As soon as we finish this tonight, Elena Forzani is going to be publishing the questions for the Cycle B live hangout, which is in 1 week. And the people who signed up for that, and we'll post that as well, are responsible for doing the pre-reading before that live hangout and being prepared to answer those questions. And again, you see these are fairly informal. It's really kind of jump in where you want to add and when you have something to say. So everyone else will be either in the back channel or following along on the YouTube page. So your group project will be due at 5 o'clock on Monday, so 1 week from right now, minus a couple hours. Your individual post for Cycle B will be due in 2 weeks from tonight, and that will be posted next week. So that's where we're kind of at. So right now, unless you're participating live in the Hangout next week for Cycle B, you're just finishing your group work this week.
Okay, great.
Yep. Great.
Awesome.
Okay, anything else?
I have one quick question. I don't know if you can actually say it or not, given confidentiality maybe, but the ORCA, is that actually a student taking it? Is that, out of curiosity, one of you guys? I'm just kind of curious if we're watching sort of a mock-up that you created or if it actually is a real, kind of a real
Do you
person.
need the video examples?
Yeah, because so certainly at the beginning of it, honestly, my takeaway was, wow, this person is proficient, right? They're pretty good at navigating. They certainly seem to be going through the website, fairly efficiently. They're getting details. By the end, I think, I have comments sort of on the way they finished. But at the beginning, I'm like, well, I wonder if this whole thing is staged. So I'm honestly curious if you.
No.
If
I was wondering if it was staged myself. It was just a whole practice for us.
No, those are all students. And the
Oh,
way we
wow.
did the confidentiality is, first of all, parental permission forms were signed explaining that videos would be captured. But it's also the reason why we had the select your own name at the beginning of it, so that the students' names themselves never came up, even though it wasn't last name. It would, in our first iteration, it was first name, and we felt that was just revealing a little bit too much. And then finally, you don't know where they come from, so there's no way to track the students back. So those are all students that we selected for various levels of performance, and so there'll be some high performers, there'll be some low performers, and there'll be some average performers.
Okay. Great, thanks.
The kids work through it much faster than any adults that I see, by and large.
They were faster than me.
Yeah, they're faster than me too, and I don't quite understand that, but we piloted and cognitive labbed it for about 3 years, so we had a very good sense for how they were responding to things in terms of the interface.
Good question, Jason. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, that's. I think that will wrap things up, unless I see a hand or any other questions. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with in the group projects. I'm available, and Sam is available all week for comments or questions. Like I said, we will be posting just as soon as this is over the questions that we want to discuss at the Hangout in a week from now. And last thing for me is I really appreciate everybody jumping on an optional night and having a good conversation. So thank you. I really enjoy these. Especially when I'm not stressed out trying to figure out why invites are not going through. So yes, this was much more enjoyable for me and reminiscent of the way things ran last year. So hopefully this is we've turned the page, and all of the future ones will be like this as well. So thank you for your patience with that. Any other comments? All right. Well then, thank you everybody.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Enjoy your day off
Bye.
tomorrow, and
Bye.
watch the snow.
Bye.
Bye, Hazel.
Bye, Hazel.
Yeah.
That's Ellie.
They said bye, Hazel.
Hey, what's this day off, Clint?
Uh,
You can say bye.
bye, Hazel.
There you
Bye,
go.
Hazel.
See you guys.
See you, Jason. This is winter break. This is Monday and Tuesday of this week is winter break. Most school districts have it off. We used to have a full week off, but now it's just only Monday and Tuesday. President's Day.
I'm declaring winter break tomorrow. I'm gonna get into this.
Yeah, well, I am so far behind, and Leah was away this weekend, so I am working tomorrow. So
I had a 3-hour class this morning, and then office meetings, and didn't get home till 6 o'clock. I'm thinking I missed something.
we're gonna have to get you a long-term sub gig in one of the local school districts.
No. Oh yeah, that would
Put it that
actually
way.
be. I would enjoy that actually.
Gotcha.
I've been thinking about that actually.
Good.
Hey, listen, is Ava there?
She is, but we are actually still. I'm going to stop the broadcast, which
Okay.
may knock you out because we're still recording.
That's all right. I'll say goodbye. I'll say goodbye then.
She's around here somewhere. She just keeps asking when her mother's coming home. So, all right, Don. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you, Clint.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.